when travelling to Thailand, Koh Phi Phi, Koh Lanta or Koh Samui might be the choice for beach lovers. But for those that love sport, there's nothing much better than Buriram. The 11-time Thai League football champions have also this international race circuit next door, which is most famous for hosting MotoGP, but in its 10-year history has also been the Thai venue for the GT World Challenge Asia race. Welcome to the Chang International Circuit in Buriram. It's our third weekend of the GT World Challenge for 2025, following 2 races in Sepang and a debut for the Mandalika International Circuit in Indonesia just a couple of weekends ago. Post this, we go for 2 races in Japan and finish on the streets of Beijing. And now, with all the news, let's head to a man who knows a thing or two about Chang, Tom Hornsby.
From Lombok's beaches to the Golden Buddha of Buriram, GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS, hits half distance this weekend at the Chang International Circuit, which hosts round 5 and 6 of the 12-race campaign.
Thailand's MotoGP venue also completes the Championships Tour of Southeast Asia, following events in Malaysia and Indonesia. The 4.5-kilometre, 12-turn FIA Grade 1 circuit is a 1-hour flight from Bangkok and often referred to as Buriram, the bustling city in which it's located.
Chang has hosted 10 GT World Challenge Asia races since 2017, and all but the very first were won by the continent's traditional heavyweight manufacturers, Mercedes-AMG, Porsche and Audi.
However, this year's surprise package will be hoping to change that. Team KRC's BMW, driven by Yuan and Maxime Usten, is unbeaten in Silver Am and third in the overall standings after scoring double-digit points across all 4 races. Victory here would also represent BMW's first ever in GT World Challenge Asia.
Porsche will have other ideas. Its cars have won 3 times this year, including a double at Mandalika, where reigning champions Bob Yuan and Liu Yi scored their second victory of the season. Anthony Liu and Dorian Boccolacci trail Origine's crew by 9 points thanks to 3 podiums, while Liu Wei kick-started his campaign with victory in race 2 last time out. He was also a winner here with Origine in 2024. Likewise, Audi, which clinched overall and class wins at Chang 12 months ago. Its best chance of more success appears to be with the silver class championship leaders, Yu Kuai and Frankie Cheng, who scored pole positions at Sepang and Mandalika.
Other outright contenders include the Climax Mercedes-AMG, shared by Mike Zhu and Ralph Aron, JMR's Sepang-winning Corvette, and the Go-Jigen Nissan that has Hirobon back alongside Yu Kanemaru this weekend. The GTR was unlucky not to win at Mandalika.
None of the 4 AM-class entries are likely to challenge for overall victory. However, the class has been ultra-competitive so far this year, with each crew winning 1 race.
Alex Liu and Reinhold Renger, Setiwan Santoso and Andrew Bentley were the latest to do so at Mandalika. But it's this season's other regulars, Garage 75's David Tipton Biantoro and Christian Colombo, and AMAX Ben Porter, who are separated by just 3 points out front. Changes elsewhere include Henk Kicks and Loris Spinelli joining forces in one of Absolute Corsa's 2 Lamborghinis, young Finn Elias Seppänen debuting for Win Here Harmony Racing, and Patrick Pile, who claimed victory at Chang last year, returning with Absolute Racing.
But Asia isn't the only GT World Challenge continent in action this weekend. Europe stages its second endurance race of the year at Monza, while Australia heads to Queensland for 2 60-minute sprints.
And the battle for global supremacy could not be any closer. Incredibly, after 20 races and 1/3 of the events, Mercedes-AMG and BMW are tied at the top of the standings, with Porsche close behind in 3rd.
A reminder that all races are live on SRO's GT World YouTube channel this Saturday and Sunday, while Asia's races are available with Thai commentary on the Chang International Circuit's Facebook page.
As already mentioned, racing in Europe, Asia and Australia this weekend, and with Queensland Raceway already holding race 1 of the race weekend in Oz, here are their highlights. The start was a messy affair, with the Ferrari of Elliott Stute going for a closing gap which eliminated both Tim Miles and Mark Ross's Audis and caused a safety car. When racing resumed, Brad Schumacher led for Mercedes of Paul Lucchini, who shares the car with Asian pro Jaden Ojeda. For third, Liam Talbot sent the Aston down the inside of Elliott Stute before the Ferrari stuffed up its pit stop, overshooting its box, which gained them a pit stop penalty. It would be Jackson Evans who would inherit the car for the second part of the race. The AM battle saw the OnlyFans star Rene Gracie fighting back after a spin in the early part of the race and getting ahead up to 7th of the 111 Merc and the lead of the AM class. Aston Martin number 1 also got a drive-through penalty for a pit stop infringement, leaving Audi's Brock Feeney out in the lead unchallenged. Jaden Ojeda pushed hard, but ultimately couldn't catch the Kelso electrical Audi of Feeney and Schumacher, who took their second victory of the year. And that has changed the global points just slightly, giving Mercedes a slight advantage over BMW, with Porsche in third position. Ferrari, Audi and Aston Martin round out the top 6 of the 10 brands involved. But all could change here at the Chang International Circuit today. A circuit of 4.5 kilometres in length, first opened at the end of 2014. GT3 lap record from 2018 in GT World Challenge Asia, a 1:33.6, a 1:33.0 in terms of GT3 cars overall. It's a 12-turn circuit, and let's drive on board now with the Nissan of Yu Kanemaru, who can take us for a lap.
Hello guys, this is Yu Kanemaru from Team Gozigen, and we're going through the Chang International Circuit. And here we come to turn 1, and it's really important to hit the apex, which is the inside curve, and if you don't take the curve, you really suffer with a low grip, so you're always like fighting with the car with it. And for turn 2, this is a heavy braking, and it's always important to have a good braking point so that you can try out in every lap to carry more speed in or anywhere. And at traction, this is a very hard one, and it's really easy to lose the rear, so you're always very gentle to the throttle. And next corner is the fast left, and this is fighting with the car with the understeer, so it's really easy to go off from the track. And the next corner is long left and 2 corners together, and you really easy to lose the rear, so I'm always gentle with the rear end, and next corner as well. And this corner, it's always really important to hit the apex, and it's quite close to the turn 1. And this corner, you always needs to go on throttle as soon as possible, and this is a long straight ahead, so you're always thinking about the exit. And for the last corner, this is the slowest corner of the track, and this is hard braking, and if you miss the apex, you will lose the whole exit into the turn 1. And that's it for the round, and thank you guys.
A MotoGP venue which is very, very challenging for our GT3 cars. 29 degrees air temperature. The circuit, or the race, has been declared wet. That basically means that teams can, if they want to, use wet tyres, but for the moment there is no need. The humidity at 77% means any rain falling kind of dries before it hits the circuit, and so for the most part we are racing dry. Bob Yuan and Liu Ye are our championship leaders with such a strong performance over the 4 races so far. Anthony Liu and Doran Boccolacci just actually 7 points behind, despite surely the results being stronger for the Origin Motorsport Porsche over the Phantom Global Porsche. And look at that, the silver AM pairing of Ruan Chunfan and Maxim Hussein, third overall with 49 points for BMW. They are the ones to watch this weekend. BMW have never taken a victory in Asia across the 7 seasons. Could this be their first time? Or will it be a Porsche? Will it be the 20th victory for Porsche in Asia? Anthony Liu has won in most seasons that he has taken part in, but yet to take victory in 2025, despite having Dorian Boccolacci, one of the very strongest drivers, alongside him. There is the Be Quick Lamborghini, a new car, or at least a new colour, for us to get used to this weekend. It'll be Henk Kicks who will start the car, and he is Be Quick, Mr. Be Quick, the owner and CEO of Be Quick, and he usually races in the Thai Super Series, the national championship, and in fact raced here last weekend in a Porsche, but first time in a Lamborghini, a very, very different car. Let's go down to the front row, and Emily is with Anthony Liu.
Here I am at the grid. Starting from P2 today, we have Anthony Liu. I'd like to have an interview with you. Anthony, starting from P2 today, it's a very good position. How are you feeling about it?
We have a 10-second success penalty from Mandalika, so points is all we can hope for.
In the past, 2023, you had a victory here in Chan. How confident are you on today's race?
Points. No, not confident in a victory at all.
Okay, best of luck to you. Thank you so much.
And just in case you were wondering, on the helmet there, self-made trillionaire is written on the lip of the visor of his helmet. It's so funny to see these gentlemen drivers wandering around in t-shirt and shorts, or in their race suits, just like you and I would look in race suits as well. But in fact, many of our AM drivers, highly successful businessmen, and coming to enjoy a weekend of racing the very best in GT3 cars. We've got loads of onboards for you this weekend, including onboard on the 89
George,
BMW.
Okay,
And it will be
right.
Tony
Yep.
Yuan who will start that
I have the
car.
racing behind me, and Prince Abu Bakr.
We will get down to Emily in just a few moments' time when she's lined up her next interview. There is the 99 Corvette. Could it be a Corvette day? We've seen this car already take victory in Malaysia at the start of the year, and it's possibly more likely to take a victory in race 2, with pole position going to Ben Green earlier this morning. Race 2 will come tomorrow morning. But the better placed of the two princes is the 66, Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, who shares with Jordan Love. Let's go back down to Emily, who's on the grid. Let's find out who she has found.
So right next to me is Rio. It's his first ever race here in Chang International, but looking at his qualifying performance, very, very impressive. He's in full concentration mode, so best of luck to him. And over here, right behind them, there is a driver that I would like to have an interview with. He's right inside the car. May I? So, Prince Abu Bakr, first of all, happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much.
I think you celebrated with your team yesterday. Did you get any good presents?
Well, a few cakes for sure, but that's about it. So, but yeah, it was good to celebrate with them.
Okay. So the Corvette, the car seems really good, in a good shape this weekend. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, so far we got a better BOP this weekend. Hopefully we can make the most out of it.
A victory must be the biggest present. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Already Prince Abu Bakr with a strong championship to his name. But that car, the less strong of the two so far this season. Prince Jeffrey was the winner in Malaysia, whilst the 66 scored 0 points with Prince Abu Bakr and Jordan Love. And they did eventually manage to score a couple of points in the second race in Mandalika, but both really need to get their championships moving in the right direction. And of course, with a Corvette, with very few Corvettes represented across the world, it's hard for the SRO technical committee to get the balance of performance absolutely perfectly. When you've got 30 to 40 Audis across the world and a load of Mercedes and a load of BMWs, it's much, much easier to use all that data and bring it all together. But Chevrolet obviously represented here on this grid and represented also in America. I believe there's one in Europe now, but not to the same level and the same degree. Has had victories, of course, with Bingo Racing here in Asia before. There's Marcus Finkelhock, the one-time F1 driver, but far more well-known in the world of GTs. Hoping for a better weekend, the 46 car with 2 accidents in 2 races in Mandalika. And for sure, they will hope the 46 can emulate what the 45 has been able to do. Teammates at Phantom Global Racing. But the 45 silver pairing of Frankie Chen and James Yu have been so much the stronger pairing. Mike Joe will start the number 2 Climax car. Joe has stood on the top step of the podium. And let's go back down to Emily now, who is catching up with another car that could have won last weekend.
So now I'd like to have some interviews with Hirobon. I'd like to speak in my home language, Japanese. So Hirobon 選手、こちらチャーンで、レースですけれども、再びこうしてチームにまず戻ってきたことについて今どういうふうに感じられていますか？
もう戻ってこれてよかったです。はい。
So first of all, he's very, very happy to be back in this team. 去年のチャンの決勝を振り返っていきますと、非常にいい週末だったように思うんですけれども、ご自身のドライビングであったり車だったり、このサーキットとの相性をいかが感じてますか？
相性自体このマシンとも結構いいと思うんで、はい、頑張ります。はい。
So looking back about last year's performance from the team, they are very confident of racing here, and the machine they feel like it's a very big fit, and he is very confident for the upcoming race. ありがとうございます。頑張ってください。
Great qualifying performance from Hirobon. He was one of the fastest men in practice as well. Joins that team after a year with Goji Zen last year. Motoki started the season for that team and led the majority of the race in race 2 in Mandalika, only to get spun around on the final lap. And such a huge, huge disappointment. Was racing also in Porsche Carrera Cup Japan last weekend in Okayama. And the team deciding to bring Hirobon back into the fold alongside Yu Kanemaru, who was, of course, our driver's eye, both with similar experience in GT World Challenge Asia. There's another car that we need to get used to, a new livery for this weekend. We saw the Lamborghini Be-Quick livery for Henk, the boss. He's also decided to back this car as well, the 911 of Wang Zhouwei and Patrick Pile, back in the 911 that was run with Harry King in Mandalika. So we say welcome back to Patrick, who was racing with Origin and Lu Wei last year when he took victory here, and now obviously switched to Absolute Racing, different team, same brand of car, the Porsche that he knows so very well. And it's great to have that experience, those names here, as it is to have Giancarlo Fisichella with us, the number 60 LM Corsa Ferrari. Could be the last time that we see them. Let's go and have a look at the AM category, which is so very competitive this year, and Ben Porter is just off the lead.
So, Ben, this season, it's really exciting to see the amateur class competing really strong. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, look, we've done a pretty reasonable job in qualifying, obviously P1 in AM class, so really happy with that. Would have liked to have been an extra few rows up the grid, but I think where we start is going to be good for us, and we just hope to get through the first few laps cleanly and put our head down and start attacking.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Ben Porter sharing with Andrew McPherson, who missed the Malaysian round through illness, and therefore Ben Porter ending up with points from Malaysia that he took part on his own. He managed to win his class, but also get overall 9th position in race 1. It wasn't so strong in the second race, but Andrew McPherson joining him for Mandalika again, as they have done since the very beginning of GT World Challenge. They only missed the first year, in fact. They joined in 2018, and as a partnership have been with us ever since, and pretty much, I would have said, in that same Porsche. because that is a slightly older generation to the rest of the cars on the grid. Finished third in class in race 1 and second in class in race 2. Be hoping for a win in the first race of this weekend, where Ben starts and Andrew will start race 2 at the head of the field. But there's plenty of strong partnerships in the AM category. We were talking a little bit about this car before we switched to that interview. Giancarlo Fisichella aboard the LM course number 60. He'll take over that car from Ketsu Wakisaka. And I believe it will be the last time we see Giancarlo with us this weekend. The not just Formula 1 driver, Formula 1 winner, but also something I didn't know about Giancarlo Fisichella was he is also part of a Sicilian noble family in Italy, the Fisichella nobility, which are partly related to the religious nobility of Italy. So there you go. There's our onboard camera showing that those spits of rain are settling on the windscreen, and they'll be unsettling for our drivers because the drivers won't necessarily know just how strong that rain has been. Now, they've been here for the last couple of days. We had paid practice on Thursday. We had then official sessions on Friday, and similar conditions all the time. This persistent sort of heavy weather, and the rain falls, but doesn't seem to really wet the track, and especially during the day, the temperature then sort of almost evaporates the rain straight away. But when it hits that windscreen, initially the driver will be concerned that it is affecting the grip. You've got to really put it out of your mind that it is not changing the grip at all, and you can still attack. And it does seem to be proving a little bit tricky. 42 degrees was the air temperature last year here. It's some 10 degrees cooler today. It's actually not too bad, but the humidity the same. The big storms of earlier in the week that were threatening to flood parts of Thailand have moved away, but there is this omni threat of rain. I'm just getting ready then to get our cars onto 2 formation laps. That allows these amateur drivers to get temperature into the brakes, the tyres, and to get them into the zone on what is a relatively short circuit, just 1.5 minutes in a GT3 car. As I said at the top of the show, the GT3 lap record is a 33.0. That was set during the 6 hours of Buriram, which was part of the Asian Le Mans series, and so run on a different set of tyres. And so our lap record is 0.6 of a lap slower than that, run on these Pirelli tyres. But maybe that will tumble today, because GT3 cars are getting forever more and more sophisticated and certainly faster. There is our 1 minute board, thanks to KW suspension. Now watch out for the white line on the right hand side as we look at it from our first corner camera. The inside, between where the cars are now and the pit wall, there is quite a lot of tarmac, a bit like you used to see in Monza. That is out of bounds for us racing. You are not allowed to go into that zone. All 4 wheels, the other side, so as we're watching from this camera position, the left side of that white line, that is illegal. All 4 wheels over, you will get a penalty if you're gaining an advantage. If you are avoiding an accident, race control will mitigate circumstances there, but you cannot overtake using that part of the circuit. It'd be so tempting, won't it? But it is not permitted. As you can see, it then does become curb. How much of that is just painted white and blue versus actual curbs, I'm not so sure. But we now roll off the grid. Keep in mind, when we go racing, there are so many parts of the circuit here where the GT3 cars can go 4 wheels off the circuit. And in race conditions, there will be penalties if you do it too much. So race control will be monitoring that. The pole in AM, as we spoke to, Ben Porter. He's the one on the left. Andrew McPherson, the man on the right-hand side of that shot. Sorry, the other way around. Silver AM to Goji Zen Nissan. Pro-Am to Phantom Global Racing, and the silver pole and the pole for the race to winner Harmony 96, with Lo Kai Lo setting that pole that time 0.3 of a second faster than Anthony Liu, and ahead of the silver championship leader in 3rd position, Frankie Cheng. Rio, great qualifying from him in 4th. Then Cao Chi and Prince Abu Bakar on row 3. Wei Lu and Hirabon on the 4th row of the grid. And then it's that 77, the silver cup car in 4th in silver. Liang Jiatong and Huang Ruhan in the Lamborghini. Pro-Am championship leader Bob Wan, only 11th position, our championship leader overall as well, alongside Tony Yuan, Prince Jeffrey 13th, and then Giancarlo Fisichella's car there in 14th position. Good qualifying actually from Wang Zhongwei, alongside William Porter on the 8th row, Mike Zhou and Bao Yinglong on the 9th, Han Ming Wang in our Korean entrant Volgas Motorsports Porsche 19th position. Welcome back to Kieron Lee for Origin, 21st spot, the best of the championship leader, sorry, in AM there in 22nd. New livery for Chris Chia, Red Bull liveried on that Porsche. Watch out for that further back. It won't be Elias Sepang starting down there on row 13. It'll be their teammate. And we have 30 cars on our grid. Henkix and Alex Liu fighting for AM honours at the back of the pack. And as I said, that 30 Mercedes has already won a AM class victory, or has taken an AM class victory, I should say, as has every single one of our AM entries. Although Martin Berry, who lines up in the Earl Bamber Motorsport Mercedes, he hasn't taken a victory because he was not here in Mandalika, and he was replaced by Andrew Bentley, and Andrew Bentley was the driver who took the victory alongside Setuan Santosho. Martin driving in the 6 hours of Imola that weekend in WEC, so a very busy Singaporean Australian, and we welcome him back to the series. Very exciting to have Martin with us, who is the founder of Gong Chai Bubble Tea and Be Me Wellness, but has limited racing experience. He's still very much on his racing journey. He was fast in qualifying 2, so he'll be the second driver in that Earl Bamber number 8. The timer starts ticking once we finish our first formation lap, so that is done. Now we are effectively under racing conditions but under safety car conditions, and then we will have a conventional race start. Might not do that tomorrow depending on conditions and how race control feel with our pro drivers, but certainly with our AMs always having 2 formation laps, just using up 2 minutes of our race time to do so. It is going to be another fascinating encounter of GT World Challenge action. The lights are out on our Toyota safety car, our grey Supra for this weekend, and the cars form up in 2x2 formation. They need to keep equidistant, both front to back, but also make sure they go through the grid hatchings before the lights turn to green. And the starting lights are halfway down the start and finish line. The finish is very much at the exit of the final turn. Different lines to start and finish. Lu Kai Lu, first time in 2025 with us in the 96 Harmony Racing Ferrari. Anthony Liu alongside it. Looks very, very neat for our front 10 rows. Oh, and a big bit of contact as we go racing between Frankie Cheng right into the back of Lu Kai Lu, responding to the lights but not responding. Oh, and Anthony Liu has been spun around and Rio has been spun around. There's contact with the Craft Bamboo number 31 of Cao Chi as well. How much damage will the 96 car have? I think they've all got running again, and it is very, very busy in the middle of the pack. It's Wei Lu who is in 4th position, and the 60 Ferrari has got up into 4th. Wei Lu in 3rd, but a massive, massive mix-up in the first couple of corners here. All triggered by Frankie Cheng getting into the back of Lu Kai Lu, but those two streaking out ahead of everybody else. And look at Wakasaka here, up 10 positions from where he started and looking down the inside of Wei Lu to try and get 3rd position. This Ferrari is absolutely flying. Was there a bit of contact there? Certainly Wei Lu got very, very loose. And Wakasaka down the inside and up to 3rd spot. We're going to have to look at some replays here at the start, because how did they manage to gain 11 positions in one lap? Certainly Kazu must have kept his foot in when everybody else was having serious issues around. There's smoke coming from another car further back in the pack. 99 car of Prince Ibrahim is up into 5th position. Here comes Bob Wan down the inside of the 99. They go side by side through the final turn. A little bit of rubbing. Bob Wan wants that inside line into turn 1. And it's side by side behind as well. Good start from Wang Zhongwei, who runs side by side with the 77 of Chai Tong Yang. But our 2 silver cars at the head of the field have absolutely checked out. Also involved in that first lap incident, the 89 BMW that we were tipping for really good things, Ran Junfan. He's at the tail of the field. And I'm afraid Rio in the 16, who we had such high hopes for, is coming into the pits. All the others that got caught up, I think, rejoined. Yeah, look at that. Even damage to the Craft Bamboo of Cao Chi, 31 Mercedes. Big damage to the front end of his car, but he's still running mid-pack in 20th. And Anthony Liu 22nd. So despite being spun around, they are only 15 seconds back. Right, let's try and dissect what happened at the start. Look how far back the Ferrari is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows back. Right in the middle of the pack of things. Firstly, the Audi surely is going to get a penalty there. Frankie Kong Fu for driving into the back of the Ferrari on the front row. And somehow, with cars scattering all over the place, Wakasaka managed to get past all of them. Right. Well, it was the 45 that got into the tail. And yeah, it was Rio who just got into the tail of the 37 Porsche. And unfortunately, Rio now out of the race. Doesn't look actually that badly damaged, but maybe suspension damage to the front end of that car. That's hugely disappointing for Uno Racing. And that is what it means to Rio. Gutted. Absolutely gutted. Such a great opportunity. And unfortunately, it comes to nothing. Race Control are looking at what happened at the start. And there's sort of 3 things to look at there, isn't there? There's the turn 1 incident. And what happened to this car? What happened to the 89? Didn't see on that replay because I was looking at other things, but they are a good chunk back from everybody else. Also in the pits with damage, the number 2 of Mike Joe. Climax Racing's Mercedes is out of the running. Meanwhile, somehow, Wakasaka, and we saw it, we were watching for it, he just got himself through all of the mayhem without contact. It all just kind of parted for him. And yes, he is definitely going to have the Race Vision powered by AWS most gains, 11, but also, so is the 25, Uchiyama, the Porsche Center Osaki, is up to 13th position in that second battle pack at the top of your screen. Happens to the 89. We're on board here, so we've gone through turn 1. Are we now at turn 3 here? No, we're further around the lap, and he has just simply been spun around, and unfortunately the picture breaks up to see exactly who spun him around, but that is another thing for race control to investigate, and not particularly friendly. The first two go through. Remember, they are silver class cars. Lu Kailu. Then it's Frankie Chen. Then it's Shigekazu Wakisaka in the Ferrari. Wei Lu in the Porsche. And Bob Yuan is now ahead of Wei Lu, sorry. So that has changed. As we expect, Bob Yuan on a mission and is up to 4th position. It's a little bit deep through the back end of the circuit. Again, not a huge amount of elevation, a little bit slower than what we saw in Mandalika, the middle part of the lap. That was very kind of mid to high speed in Mandalika. Here is more very medium speed turns. First two go through with a 2.3 second gap between first and second, and then another 7 seconds to the Ferrari. Further back, here is Wang Zhouwei, under pressure from Ben Porter. Ben Porter up to 9th position, trying to give his teammate the biggest advantage possible, and pretty impressive to be running alongside Wang Zhouwei. Of course, they are all amateurs. They've got the Lamborghini of Huang behind, and Huang's going to look down the inside of Ben Porter. Ben Porter sort of needs an eye on the mirrors there. Hirobon is also with them. A massive progress from the Nissan, but he's on the flashers, and Ben Porter is giving that 911 a hurry up, isn't he? Wang Zhouwei through turn 4. No points to the 911's name so far this season, so this is running far better than they have done so far. In 8th spot, he's got Porter, and then the battle for silver. The leading silver AM is that Lamborghini of Huang Ruhan. Hirobon in 2nd, and then Han Mingwang in 3rd for the Volgas Korean team that leaves big messes coming out of turn 9 there. So not only is this a battle for 8th position overall, but it is also a battle for the silver arm lead. And that is why Hirobon's giving the hurry up to the Lamborghini, because that silver arm battle for 1st position. Handing that car to Akish Nandi in the 2nd part of the race. Yuan Kanemaru will take over from Hirobon as their pros. Dan Arrow will be in the Volgas Porsche. Just fallen off the back and tail of that. There is Prince Ibrahim. Prince Abu Bakr in the 66. 13th spot, and then just the back shot, the recovering Anthony Liu. Started on the front row, down 25 seconds now, in 15th position. Cao Chi in 17th position, with a decent chunk missing from his Mercedes. There is Anthony Liu. No further action on the turn 1 incident. So race control are okay that has sort of been dealt with, I suppose, because in the end Rio was the one that made contact with the 37, and they both spun around, and Rio's the one out of the race, so almost taken care of. But I don't know whether they are investigating the start still. Yes, they are. The leader, the 96 of Lo Kai Lo, with 2.6 seconds of an advantage over Frankie Cheng. But it was Frankie Cheng into the back of Lo Kai Lo at the start of the race, and see the slight damage to the front of the car, and he's been given a 5-second time penalty for that jump start, for going before the lights and then going into the back of the Lamborghini. sorry, the Ferrari. I wonder whether race control will give him a separate penalty for unnecessary contact. Because yes, he jumped the start, but also he drove into the back of somebody else. Could have caused damage to that. As it happens, I think the Ferrari's exhausts are probably clear of that area. That's the battle then going through the shop for third position. Saka hands over to Fisichella in the second part of the race, and Bob Yuan who hands over to Yuan. Ye has the lap record in a Formula Renault car around this circuit. So the Pro-Am battle for the lead. Wow, okay. So we've got two silver cars, first and second, of course. So this is actually Pro-Am lead battle. And, what a position for LM Course to find themselves in. I tell you what, massive pat on the back to Waki Saka, but maybe the wise old head. After all, Shikazu has been racing a long time, even though he is the younger of the two Waki Saka brothers. Yuchi Super GT champion a long time ago. And without telling you the age of each of the individual drivers, the pairing of Fisichella and Waki Saka are 102 years old. That will possibly help you work it out. Still spots of rain down there. That's turn 3. Oh, the Ferrari a little bit deep into the hairpin. Will that give an opportunity for Bob Yuan to take advantage going down towards turn 4. They're all slightly on the limit of adhesion going into the hairpin down there. There's certainly rain falling a little bit, potentially harder than it was, and Ben Porter still crawling all over the back of the 911. Then there's a little bit of a gap, and now Hirabon giving Huang a run for his money. To the outside through turn 4. It's not going to work there. This is almost a flat-out turn through here. And you need to line yourself up very well for 5 if you want to make it happen. Doesn't look like anything changed for third position. I was wondering whether Bob Yuan had got a little closer, but the tracker is suggesting not. We now ride on board with the Goji Zen Nissan. Whoa! Kieran Lee goes around! What a spot of luck that was! Very, very unusual accident. I'm not sure there is contact, but the number 5 BMW there of Team Stude has been ripped apart. Yamaguchi in that car at the moment. Is there contact? Seemed, if there was, the BMW came off a lot worse than Kieran Lee. That is a spin out of 20th position. That's what the BMW looks like of Yamaguchi. Let's have a look now. No, it was already like that. Okay. And Kieran Lee just lost it all by himself. Whether there's been other contact elsewhere, we do not know. Is Kieran going to come into the pits here? Or is he going to continue? No, he carries on, so there is no problem with that car. I'm not going to keep telling you about track limits because it is going to get boring if I do. I might need a separate commentator just to keep you updated on the warnings that are being going out, but every single lap cars are being warned for track limits, and race control have already been very, very strong with their instruction that if track limit infringements continue, penalties will be given. There was something like 14 or 15 cars given penalties in practice for track limit infringements. We saw lots and lots of laps being deleted in qualifying, and you will be given drive-through penalties if you are a frequent, what's the word? Shouldn't really forget words, but somebody who does it a lot, and a lot of them are. So I'm expecting to see a lot of penalties come the way of these cars in the second half of the race. Quick look at Santosho for Earl Bamber Motorsport in their Mercedes, running 20th position, just off the back of Yamaguchi, that damaged Ford BMW. Actually, just ahead of this lot is a pretty damaged Mercedes from Kauchi, the Craft Bamboo guys in 17th position, but doesn't seem to be affecting them too much. We have had a nice clean run in the first half of this race. It's not usual that the AM part of these races goes without a safety car, but with just 6 minutes before the window opens, this is really going to help Silvers take a victory. And there is that Craft Bamboo Mercedes I was telling you about, in a similar sort of look to the BMW, isn't it? With a massive chunk ripped out of the front of the car. That was what happened at turn 1. He must have been hit by, we don't know who he's hit by. He spun, we know he spun, but to cause that kind of damage, either way, it'll certainly be affecting his aerodynamics, but his pace isn't too bad. 17th position. And he's just deposed of Uchiyama, so actually he's up to 16th now. Live timing tower only updates when the cars go over certain points in the circuit, the different intermediates. That's why it's a little bit delayed to what we're seeing in reality. 55 of Han Cheng-Liu, second in the win here, Harmony Racing Ferraris. A bit of a starring performance in the hands of Lorenzo Petresi, but Lorenzo not with us this weekend, unfortunately. So that car for the moment down in 18th spot, but its teammate is leading, and it's leading by 2.9 seconds on the road and more once the pit stops have been done, because Frankie Cheng has that penalty after contact. Also with success penalties based from the previous round, Lu Wei in the Porsche number 4 has 15 seconds, so he'll be dropping back from 4th spot. The number 37 of Anthony Liu in 14th position has 10 seconds extra, so 10 seconds from where he is right now would drop him to 19th position. There's actually a handy little window he'll fall into. And then the Mercedes number 77, which is up in 6th spot, or Jaiton Yang, will get a 5-second success penalty. So that will drop him, actually, maybe won't drop him that far down, because you can see the gaps there. He is only 4.1 seconds ahead of Prince Ibrahim. So you'll only drop down 1 position. Track limit penalties now starting to come through, so we can keep you updated on that. And the 33 that we run on board with here, I'm afraid, already has a drive-through penalty. And that is really harsh. It's not harsh because it's from what they have been doing on circuit, but Han Ming Wang, I'm afraid, will take that penalty now and drops out of 3rd in class. There are our leaders. Lo Kai Lo coming in from the Chinese GT Championship last weekend, where they nearly took victory in race 1 and race 2. They lost them both races by a fraction of a second after penalties. Lo Kai Lo sharing that car with Andy Dung, but has built up a 16-second advantage over the first of the Pro-Am cars. So in 3rd position, Giancarlo Fisichella will get into that car. Ooh, we haven't seen that. Hirabon's ahead of Wang as well. And now drive-through penalty for car 29. So that is the leading silver, or was the leading silver Am Lamborghini. There it is now. And so Hirabon in 9th position has a healthy advantage over the Absolute Corsa Lamborghini, because they have now drive-through penalty for track limits, but it won't be the end. There's going to be a huge amount of drive-through penalties coming through. Ben Porter actually has lost a position here to Hirabon, slightly dropping off the tail of the 911 of Wang Chongwei, sorry. Now, this pit stop is outside of the window, so this does not count. I don't quite understand why they are doing it now, but the pit window has not opened. 37 minutes of the race still remaining, so it's 2 minutes before it opens. I can't understand how Absolute Racing will have got that wrong. They are incredibly well versed in this. We've got a huge amount of track limit penalties coming through. Drive-through penalty now for car 13. Drive-through penalty for car 37. That is our second in the championship, Anthony Liu. Is this going to be one of those races where the most of the field get drive-through penalties for running off the circuit? Chris Chia is the car 13, lying in 18th spot. He gets a drive-through penalty, but this is a disaster for Anthony Liu. Second on the grid, it looked like this could be a potential win for that car, and instead they're going to struggle, really struggle now, with the success penalty as well, to score points. Still, for third, Wakisaka and Lu Wei. Bob Wan has... Why is Bob Wan not with? Bob Wan was with. And on that last lap, Bob Wan was 4 seconds slower than those two. Something happened to Bob Wan, but more than that, something might still be happening to Bob Wan. The 87, our championship leader, was fighting for third position for sure, but is now missing from that battle. Pit window is about to open. It does open now. Our leading cars go through. They can't take advantage of it. The cars further back can. But of course, you want to get your AM out of the car as soon as possible and put your Pro in. Drive-through penalty being taken there by car 37. So Anthony Liu taking the drive-through, as is Chris Chia in that Red Bull livery car now. But Anthony Liu dropping to 22nd position as Kieron Lee now comes in and hands over to Anders Forbach for Origin. Don't see too much of Anders in the series, the owner of high-class racing. But those two have been teammates across the year and yet to score a point. Oh, there's the problem for Bob Wan. Bob Wan's out of the race. Our championship leader scored in every single race so far this year. There's smoke coming off the back of the car, and we might get a full course yellow in the middle of a pit window. These guys have got to react to that. They've got to get themselves in, and the 45 have done so. Frankie Chen. Remember, they've got a penalty as well from that contact at the start of the race, but that is very wise to get that car in and do their pit stop, because you do not know when race control might need to throw a full course yellow here. Here is the Nissan of Hidebon. It's going to hand over to Yu Kanemura. Car's still going over the start finishing line and ignoring the pit window opening, hoping to stretch it a bit longer. The pit lane is pretty tight, so that will be the reason, and I wonder whether race control are just going to try and cover Bob Wan's car with yellow flags here and then let everybody do their stops so that they don't upset it. It's a risky strategy, but Bob Wan's car is well off the track. But look, the silver guys don't want to pit yet. Luo Kai Luo doesn't want to give his car over to Andy Dung yet, because Luo Kai Luo is seemingly the faster of the two. But if we end up with a full course yellow, it will completely change things. Out of the pits comes now aboard the 45, James Yu Kai. And he's racing that 96, but he's not really because of that penalty. It's really the Ferrari that has come into the pits now of Wakisaka and the number 60 that probably is closer to contention with Frankie Cheng and James Yu once they exit pits. The 37 also having to do their penalty. That's their success penalty from last round. And our AM number 8 comes out as our leader in AM. Ben Porter continues to circulate and can do so for another couple of laps. He doesn't need to hand over to Andrew Porter yet. But the 87 of Bob Yuan sits on the side of the road and will need to be recovered shortly. Race control can get everything in place to do that quickly so they don't need to go to full safety car. Because with all of our pro drivers now getting aboard that car, that really would change things. In the number 4, Bastien Bous now, taken over from Yuan. There is James Yu. How is it going to compare to this car? Oh no, he's overshot his pit box. That's a disaster. He had to, perhaps, because of the Craft Bamboo car behind him. So that means that this pit stop is going to take a little bit longer now. The pit stop time is from the pit in to pit out. So what you do down there may not have an effect. Coming out the pits, the number 8 now with Maxime Hussein, who's been just so very strong. It's not the number 8, it's the number 89, of course. There are still waiting, still another 5 minutes before Ben Porter needs to come into the pits. And now, that's okay. So they've managed to do everything they need to do, despite being slightly out of position. Where is he going to come out in comparison to the 45 and in comparison to the 60? Silver cars also need to pit 6 seconds longer than Pro-Am cars, so that's going to give an advantage to the number 60 as well. 45 comes out of the pits, but the Ferrari has already gone under our shot, so the Ferrari way into the distance, of course. But that's how close it is for second. James Yu has Giancarlo Fisichella breathing down his neck. Would he ever imagine, as a young boy, watching Jordan Grand Prix racing around the Shanghai International Circuit, could he ever imagine that he'd be racing on the same track as Giancarlo Fisichella, an Italian in an Italian car? And Fisichella is going to be desperately hunting James Yu Kwai down. What a story. However, ahead of the both of them, Andy Dung now leads for win here at Harmony Racing. I was looking at all the different brands, and the last time each of the brands won a race that are represented on our field, and for so many of our brands, they've won a race in the last 2 years. Nissan, Mercedes, Audi, Lamborghini all winning last year, and this year Porsche and Chevrolet. But Ferrari, you have to go back to 2023. Okayama Race 2 was the last time we saw a Ferrari on the top step of a podium here in GT World Challenge Asia. And moreover, therefore, it would have been the older spec Ferrari. It would not have been this new 296 vehicle. And now we've got 2 virtually in the top 3. Haven't officially yet. Ben Porter is still our leader, the number 51. The 46 finally pits. Why it took so long to get Marcus Winkelhock into that car. But only just now has the 46 car come in. So Bao Yinglong will jump out of that one. Marcus Winkelhock jump in. So one last car to pit, which is Ben Porter in the 51. He is our leader. But now all of our pros are having to sort themselves out and get around some of the AMs. That's Martin Berry in the number 8, with Dan Arrow in the 33 getting past. And in the number 10, Nico Menzel. Still our graphics taking time to update. Loris Spinelli in the 19 Lamborghini behind him. And they've made quick change of Martin Berry. And look who is also behind. Dorian Boccolacci is part of that battle pack. Amazing names in like 15th position here. It is a seriously mixed up field. Somebody has put this field of GT3 cars in a big tombola and mixed them all up and picked them all out in a different order. And now the pros are going to try and start to sort it out again. Boccolacci down the inside of Martin Berry, and I think Anders Forsbacka is the next one to follow through. Loris Spinelli, who we welcome to the championship. Spinelli's first time in GT World Challenge Asia, trying to find a little bit of space on Nico Menzel. Menzel raced with us in 2018, but he hasn't been with us since then, and a big wiggle through turn 4. Menzel protects the inside line there, but Spinelli trying to now find a way around the outside line. The master of Super Trofeo dives down the inside, has to cut across the curb, a little bit of rubbing between those two. It's what I love about the second half of race 1, is the pros come out and they absolutely fight tooth and nail. And hopefully we won't get quite as many track limit infringements and penalties as we saw in the first half. Here comes Dorian Boccolacci now down the inside of Nico Menzel. Of course, Loris couldn't overtake, could he, at turn 5, because there's still the 87 car on the outside of the turn there. We've just now got Ben Porter in the pits to hand over to Andrew McPherson. They should come out well ahead in the lead of AM. And once that is done, we are then able to recover the 87 car. Hopefully race control will be able to do that under a short full course yellow. We'll probably not put marshals out there under just a yellow flag, but hopefully we don't need to compress the field. A long full course yellow means a safety car afterwards and means a compressed field. So far, we haven't had to interfere with a safety car, and so far this year, that is a rarity. Whilst the field settles down, let's go down to Emily, who's found Bob Yuan. What was wrong with that 87 car?
So Yuan, you brought back the car, still in P1. What a great performance. Chaotic opening lap there.
Yeah, for me, it's a very clean stint. And actually, the tire stack is, for me, it's really less. I still can be really fast in the last few laps. In the start, I think somebody hit me behind. I'm not sure which car it is, but unfortunately, our car is really good. It didn't kill any performance. And I think now we are leading the race. I'm so happy. So hope Andy have a good stint also, and we finish on the podium or the over win also.
Let's hope for the best.
Yeah,
thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Lokai Law there, our leader in the first part of the race, handing over to Andy Dung, who now is in charge of the 96. There is Giancarlo Fisichella. Where is the 45 of Yu Kai? 5 seconds up the road? Okay, right. James Yu Kai is pulling away from Giancarlo Fisichella in a brand that Fisichella has raced with ever since he finished his Formula 1 career in 2009. He was with Ferrari, and his mission as a Ferrari driver has to be drive in GT3, whether it be GT3 in Italy, drive in GT3 Italian Championship or European Championship or wherever he is needed. But Fisichella is dropping back from James Yu Kwai. I imagine that will call for a celebratory beer this evening from James Yu if he can finish in this second position right now. But there'll be lots of other movement in the last 20 minutes of this race as our pro drivers continue to push. That's Ben Green in 6th position in the first JMR car. Some lights flashing, but they got the full course yellow warning around the circuit, and that means no overtaking, and then they will drop down to 80 kilometers an hour. And this is what we knew was going to happen. Full course yellow out on circuit. You cannot overtake under full course yellow. You cannot overtake under the countdown from 10-0, and regardless of whether somebody is going slow or fast, and as you saw there, I think that number 30 is going slower than it should be. Ah, right, that explains what happened to Bob Yuan. Look at the grille at the front of the car. He has overheated that car by running off the road somewhere. There's not a lot of grass to run off the road with, but somewhere he has run off the road and picked up a load of grass, and that has overheated the car. Should have really come in and got that cleaned out. As soon as the engine temps start going up, he would have known that he had gone across the grass. He would have known how wet the grass is, and probably, with Thai Super Series last weekend as well, how recently the track will have cut the grass. It's another thing you can check when you go on your track walk, and each evening the track is open to walk around the track. You can still see the tractor lines actually there, where the grass has been cut. I am an expert grass cutter, mow lawner, as my wife would say, and as is our producer as well. He's got a bigger tractor than me. And unfortunately, the Porsche there has cut the grass and collected it all in the radiator and overheated the engine. So fingers crossed that there is still a Porsche engine in and around Buriram to put into that car, because they will need a new one, I would have thought. Full course yellow at the moment to move that car. Nothing on my race control screen to suggest whether it's long or short, but poor old Giancarlo Fisichella here, absolutely on his own. So, tow truck dragging that car. And look, that's all the damage is. Right, well done, Emily. She's found Bob Yuan now, and we can go down to Emily and find out what happened to that car.
So, Bob, a very unfortunate situation. What happened? Could you tell us through?
I tried to overtake a Ferrari. Then I got a good exit. Tried to side by side, but he pushed me to grass outside. My car completely outside on the grass. Then jump a few times. Then the grass come to my the air. My car needed air. Then they blocked the air. So I got the temperature warm alarm. Then the car just stopped. Yeah, that's it.
I heard you had some machine issues on the practice when you were running 2 days ago, I think. The car's okay?
Yeah, the car is okay. I mean, I have a little bit issue. Qualify is my issue, not the car issue. Then the start is okay. I overtook a few cars, then try to get back the position. But I don't know what I can say. But I just try to overtook the Ferrari. But I mean, from the empty driver, I think we need to give more respect each other. Otherwise, the situation just like this. I mean, today is me, but future maybe another driver. So I always say we need to respect each other. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Certainly, Bob Yuan not happy. My concern is for the engine of that car, and this was his reaction. Yeah. So down the inside of Wakisaka, probably thinking about it, going towards that corner, and collected all the grass in the radiator and overheated the engine. Unfortunately, though, didn't pick up on it in time to take it to the pits, get his radiators cleared. Then he'd been all right. Then he could have cooled the engine down by running again and continued racing. But that could be, it's a retirement from today. That could be a brand new engine for tomorrow. If they can't get one, that could be weekend over for our champions of last year and leaders this year. It will not be a win for Porsche and Origin here in race one, unless Bastien Boost can do something about that. Bastien is in 4th position, and race control have needed to make this a long full course yellow, which means a safety car follow, which means Bastien Boost there in 4th position is going to gain a huge advantage. We bunched the field back up. This is great news for the likes of Dorin Boccolacci, who's down in 19th position. Lights flashing on Giancarlo Fisichella, saying, come on, Giancarlo, we can go fast now, we can catch the back of the safety car. Andy Dung has, James Yu has. And once we have bunched the field up, then we can go back to racing. But the field is spread out all around this Buriram circuit. I thought we might get a race without a safety car, but we haven't. And it is now going to make the last 15 minutes chaotic. Watch out for Max Hussein, for instance, in 14th position in the BMW. He's third in Silverham right now, but he's undefeated in Silverham. And he's only got 6 positions to gain before he's up with Yuan Kanemaru. Andrew McPherson in 12th. He is going to lose that 12th position from those hungry silvers behind. Kondo, Nandi, Sepanen. Then you've got Spinelli, Boccalacci and Menzu, who we already saw knocking all kinds of stuff out of each other. They're 17th, 19th and 20th. They will want to get ahead of all of those silver class cars. Look at that circuit performance. BMW strong in Sector 1. Sector 2 is not that different to Sector 1, but the Porsche faster through there. And then some more fiddly stuff. It is the Corvette that is the stronger. Ben Green 6th, Jordan Love 7th for Corvette right now. They've got Patrick Pilet and Bastien Bous in 2 Porsches ahead of them. And this is unfortunate for our 2 silvers, because Andy Dung and James Yu Kwai, they should have quite easily swept to a victory in this first race because of the first part of the race being uninterrupted and the silvers being able to build that advantage. But now, with the safety car compressing the field, this does hand the advantage to our pro-ams that have the pros in the car. Fisichella, Bous, Pilet, Green and Love. Winkelhoff in 9th spot for the 46. Not best result this year, 7th in the second race in Malaysia. Only point scoring result so far for Winkelhoff. Should be able to make relatively light work of the Nissan ahead. Race control saying safety car will be in this lap, but it's only at turn 3 right now, so still plenty of wiggling and weaving to do. Just get that surface temperature in the tyre, scrub the tyre from left to right. You're not actually necessarily, it looks like you're just turning left to right, and yes, that works the sidewalls, but certainly when they're cold, what you want to do is to scrub that surface across the tarmac a little bit as well. That generates a bit of heat. Safety car is coming into the pits. The lights are out on the Toyota. And he hands the responsibility to Andy Dung to control the field coming towards the final turn. Dung, Yu, Fisichella, Bous, Pilet, Green, Love, Kanemaru, the top 8 as we go back to racing for the final 12 minutes of this race 1 of the GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS. One long stream of GT3 cars heads towards turn one with pro drivers and silver drivers in the cars, and just 4 of the AMs left on the track. Andrew McPherson is going to be swamped in the 51 car, no doubt. Big defence from Giancarlo Fisichella on Bastien Bus. Is there a bit of gap? Not quite. Fisichella so very aggressive, and now Bus looks again but can't find a way through. Further back, they're trying to dispose of the number 30 Mercedes AM, which is out of position and being lapped, and still side by side. Bus trying to go around the outside of turn 4. That's surely not going to work. But Giancarlo Fisichella being very aggressive here with his defence, as Patrick Pilet needs to boot. 86 for the drive-through penalty for track limits as well. That's Anders Ford back down in 21st position, but we don't care too much for that. That's outside the top 20. Fisichella, Bus, Pilet, Green, Love, and Winkelhock up to 8th position, so he's made up 2 spots in the first couple of corners. Oh no! I think we've got more penalties coming through for short pit stops. We do. And the number 60, Giancarlo Fisichella there, 3rd position. 1 second stop-go penalty for a short pit stop. Also for the number 29 of Akish Nandi. And Bus goes for a dive bomb, but the team need to get onto him and say, leave Fisichella be. He's going to have to pit in the next lap. And look at the queue of cars trying to get past. That's Pilet in the Be Quick 911. Round the outside goes Bastien Bus. Here comes Patrick Pilet now, but he might get swamped by Ben Green. And Ben Green is alongside Patrick Pilet and will have the inside line coming down to turn 4. That is for 5th position, but it becomes 4th position when Fisichella takes his penalty. Round the outside. Can the 911 hold on to this? I think Ben Green might do this. He's going to have 1 position, but he's going to be on the wrong side of the circuit. And Pilet is on the inside of Giancarlo Fisichella. On the outside of Fisichella is Ben Green, who squeezes across. Can he squeeze across again? Not quite. Pilet holds the inside line and holds on to 4th position. Fisichella now out of it. He's been told by the team what's happened, and he basically cannot fight anymore. What entertainment from our pro drivers, as we come to expect in Asia. They always put on a show. But whilst that's all been happening, Andy Dung and James Yu have had to get their head down as silver drivers, and they've established a 3.5 second advantage over Bastien Bus. And I tell you what, Giancarlo Fisichella has done. Oh, penalty suspended. Oh, but Fisichella's given all those positions away. No! Here comes Winkelhock down the inside, and Fisichella's coming into the pits. He's coming to serve a penalty that's been suspended. And, you know, this guy's an Italian. This guy is an Italian who is not going to like this at all. On the radio was Wakusaki. And penalty stands. Okay, so it's not all in vain. And behind that graphic comes the Ferrari. Oh, we were getting so excited about it. What a shame. Akish Nandi's also taken his penalty and dropped to the turn of the field in Silver Ram. There is the leader in Silver Ram, Yuan Amaru. And so Fisichella didn't stop in the pits. Was it drive-through? No, it was a 1 second stop go, wasn't it? You have to stop in the box for the amount of time that you've been under your pit stop. And he's just driven straight through, so he has not, or the team have not understood the penalty given. There's a hell of a lot of confusion around that one lap, wasn't it? As Fisichella was desperately trying to hold on to 3rd position. This is for the lead, though. This is Andy Dung and James Yu Kwai. 0.6 of a second separating our 2 silvers. And Fisichella has done a huge favour to these guys because that fighting has allowed them to scamper off. 7.5 minutes remaining. Will it be an Audi victory, or will it be the first Ferrari victory for 2 years, and the first Ferrari victory, well, not ever here in Buriram, but they did take the very first victory in 2017 here in Thailand. It's Winkelhock and Huang in an Audi that took victory in race 1 last year. Could it be Frankie Cheng and James Yu Kwai? They have had victories before, both drivers. 3 victories to James's name, 2 to Frankie Cheng, and oh, that is not a place to overtake down the inside there. But James Yu Kwai, earlier on, showing that he was faster than Giancarlo Fisichella, and now showing that he's faster than Andy Dung. Cannot afford to waste any time behind Andy Dung if he is the faster, because they have pro international superstars breathing down their neck. Bastian Busch, Patrick Pilet, Green, Love, Winkelhock. Why did Boccolacci get up? Boccolacci's in 14th position, Spinelli's 11th. Daniel Morad is in 9th in that very wounded Mercedes. And it's all points in the Pro-Am Championship for them. But you know what, with Boccolacci down in 14th and Bob Wan in the pit lane and out of the race, this is going to really mix up our championship as well, this race. Looking a little further back, there is Loris Spinelli in the Lamborghini. Max Usen in 2nd position in Silver Am behind. Being able to stay with Spinelli. Oh no, drive-through penalty for the 3rd in silver for track limits. Oh, they're going to start coming thick and fast here, the track limit penalties, I'm afraid, as we come to the end of the stint for these drivers. And that is going to drop Daniel Frost out of 10th position. It's going to put Loris Spinelli in 10th. He will stand on the podium still. And Jordan Love now gets a drive-through penalty for track limits. Come on, drivers, can you not keep the cars on the track? It obviously is a challenge. But Jordan Love from 6th position. And a reminder that was the better of the placed cars. It's going to have to come into the pits. There they are. And Winkelhock now will move up a position. Kanemaru's right on the tail of them as well. All these drive-through penalties from a computer and screens that are watching certain parts of the circuit. There are humans also monitoring other parts of the circuit, as Martin Berry now leads in Am, just ahead of Christian Colombo behind, and Andrew McPherson, I'm afraid, has dropped behind the 2 of those to the count of 8.5 seconds. He won't get passed by the number 30 because that car got caught a lap down somehow. So McPherson will be on the podium for the 51, but once again, Ben Porter doing a sterling job that sort of gets undone by the safety car. Well, Nico Menzel there in the number 10. As we watch Patrick Pilet in the Be Quick Porsche. Now under pressure from Ben Green, pole car for tomorrow's race, the 99. In 1 lap pace, this car, this 911, was really nowhere. Patrick Pilet did not start. We didn't have him with us in Mandalika. They have been scratching their heads about the number 911 car with various maladies. Looks like it's performing better now, but Absolute Racing still struggling in comparison to Origin and Phantom Global when it comes to running Porsches. There is the number 77, Daniel Frost, now taking his drive-through penalty. And on the naughty boy step with Fisichella in 22nd, Nandi 23rd, Forbach in 24th. Soon to join them, Jordan Love. The gap between 2nd and 3rd coming down. Last lap for James Yu. 35.4, Bastian Busch 35.3, Patrick Pilet 34.9. It's compressing, it's getting closer, but we've only got 2.5 minutes remaining. James Yu Kwai, very direct going down there into the first turn. Out of the pits comes the 66, I'm afraid. And it's really day done for them. Let's not forget that this is Andy Dunn's 5th ever race in GT World Challenge Asia. Plenty of experience, raced a lot in China, in all kinds of different series, whether it's the GT Sprint or the China Endurance Championship. He's also raced in the Thai Super Series. Actually, I think he has a lap record here in Buriram as well, if I remember correctly. What's his lap record in? Oh, it's his teammate. Lu Kai Lu has the lap record in a Porsche Carrera Cup car from 2 years ago. But Andy Deng, on only his 5th race in GT World Challenge Asia, could add his name and Lu Kai Lu's name to the Roll of Honour. More drive-through penalties for car 911. Patrick Pilet has a drive-through penalty. Car 60 is Fisichella with a drive-through penalty for track limits. And I don't know whether race control are going to be able to catch up by the time we end this race. We may well see drive-through penalties continue to be handed out by the time we get to the end. Fisichella coming into the pits, I'll tell you what, as a driver, oh, side by side for the lead of the race, round the outside goes James Yu Kwai, and he's taken the lead for Audi. He's taken the lead from Andy Dung on the final lap of the race, and it looks like it's going to be another victory for Audi. Unbelievable. Ever since we put himself and Fisichella up against each other and Yu Kwai disappeared, we knew it was going to be a special day for the young Chinese Brit. But James Yu Kwai is coming towards the final corner. Let's fingers crossed that there's no track limit infringements for that 45 car. But wow, he's been aggressive, he really has, but he's made it count. The car had contact on the first corner, and it takes a checkered flag first here in GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS. An Audi win in race 1 last year, and an Audi win once again. The 500 gets its first silver round victory for Nissan in 6th position overall. Remember, drive-through penalties will be converted into time penalties if they are not served. And here comes Martin Berry. This car took victory the last time out in Mandalika in race 2, but he wasn't in it then. He is back in it now for Alabama Motorsport, and he wins in AM ahead of Christian Colombo. But what a last lap from James Yu Kwai. Cannot believe it. His last victory. He's taken many a pole position, but Okayama last year, he was able to take a win. He also took victories the year before in Sepang and Motegi. But what about Frankie Cheng? Sepang last year was his last victory. I thought we were about to get 2 new winners, but no. James Yu's 4th, Frankie Cheng's 3rd. Our most experienced driver in the field, Frankie Cheng. Over 60 race starts to Frankie Cheng's name. But what a final lap. I wonder how pumped James Yu Kwai will be. He's not the kind of driver to be pumped. He's a very measured character. But that was not a measured drive. That was a drive full of aggression. on those last couple of laps. And let's have a look at his reaction. Race, by the way, parc ferme on the grid because the podium is on the inside of the circuit.
What a drive. Good job.
What a drive indeed. But see, look, he's so chilled. Like the aggression to go around the outside at turn 4. Unbelievable, and yet he's there just, yeah, I did it. It's going to be very, very disappointing for Andy Dung, though. Last weekend, they missed out on 2 race victories by the slimmest of margins in Shanghai, him and Lu Kai Lu. And they've had it ripped out of their hands again on the very final lap.
So this is the ex-F1 driver, right? Yeah. I don't speak with him.
When he drives through, I did this one. And the way he can't help working with this.
If I can drive through,
Yeah, we saw it.
Was that for the penalty?
Bastien Buss not happy with Giancarlo Fisichelle's actions out on circuit. In the end, Fisichella finished way back, miles out, with multiple drive-through penalties. But Bastien obviously not happy with the way that he drove, and once again, Lu Wei on the podium. This time alongside Bastien Buss. That's Bastien's best result in GT World Challenge Asia, I believe. Previously best was 4th position. Let's go down to Emily, though. She has James Yu Kwai. What an aggressive race.
James, congratulations. The final lap, what an overtake.
Yeah, what an overtake. We really had to balance between not getting track limit breaches and overtaking, and it was really difficult behind the wheel. Andy was exceptionally fast, and at the last lap, I thought that there was an opportunity, and I just went for it because the team were all really wanting me to take this win.
Yes, both you and your partner, aggressive style of racing, but it paid off.
Yes, I'm really glad.
Congratulations once again.
Thanks so much.
Ah, here is his partner, Frankie Chen Confu.
You in difficult situation. It's okay. It's good.
Oh, I thought we were going to speak to Frankie there. Emily was getting herself ready. It would have been nice to hear what happened at the first corner, because he was pretty aggressive going into turn 1. Well, actually, he was aggressive before the lights turned off, wasn't he? Because it was still red when he got into the back of that 96 Ferrari. There is Lu Kai Lu doing his social media stuff. Very strong drive from both of those. But interesting that the team obviously very clear with James Yu Kwai. Do not get yourself a drive-through penalty. So many cars with drive-through penalties for track limit infringements, and so they were being extra cautious. Pro-Am was won by Lu Wei and Bastien Buss. They finished 3rd overall, and they're down with Emily as well.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, congratulations on P1 on Pro-Am class. I think it was a difficult situation, your rivals coming after you, but you made it, P1.
Yeah, great effort by the team. I think today was supposed to be a very hard race for us with the penalty from last time. So yeah, we did the best we could, survived in the chaotic situations, and slowly climbed our way forward with the chaos happening in the race. So yeah, I think we're satisfied for the race one. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, it's a big effort from our side. It's the car was not very easy to drive today. It's now in a really fast window, but we tried everything. So I'm happy for myself, but also it's just not nice seeing there are cars pushing people out of the track. I think there should be more respect on the track. It's not only happening once; it's happening 3-4 times from the same car. There should be some respect from other people. Other than that, it's a great weekend so far, so we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Thank you both to you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, interesting and strong words from Lu Wei there. There is an investigation into Fisichella's actions with that 4 car on lap 26 when Bastien Boost was aboard the car. So they are concerned. Well, what a race. Race 1, it started before it started, with Frankie Cheng getting into the back of Lo Kai Lo, our pole position car, and then into turn 1. The second row got into each other. Rio spinning Anthony Liu, and plenty of other cars causing damage in avoidance. One that really won through all of that was the number 60 of Wakisaka Ferrari, up to 4th position. And on the same lap, the first lap of the race, our silver round dominators of Tony Yuan getting spun around as well and dropping to the tail of the field. This was Kirong Lee losing it all by himself, luckily not being caught up. But at the head of the field, Loi Kai Lo absolutely flat out, trying to keep the car within the white lines, trying not to get a drive-through penalty, which was subject of so much of the race. Bob Wan, our championship leader, picking up a lot of grass after being forced off the circuit and unfortunately overheating his Porsche. He would retire just as the pit window opened. And so then pit stops got to work. Under green flag conditions, there was not a full course yellow until the end of the green flag, but the recovery of Bob Wan's car was difficult and required a safety car by the end, bunching the field back up. And look what happened when the pros got to work. Giancarlo Fisichella second, but being swamped by Bastien Boost, being swamped by Ben Green and Patrick Pilet. And in the end, that 60 car was actually a bit fast in pit lane and picked up a penalty for that, picked up a penalty for track limits, and picked up a penalty for an accident with the number 4. This was James Yu then, looking round the outside of the 96 into the flat-out turn 4 and passing Andy Dung for the lead on the final lap. Aggressive stuff from the 45 from start to finish, but James Yu's 4th victory in the championship and first of 2025. Our most experienced driver, Frankie Cheng, his partner, his 3rd victory in GT World Challenge and really igniting their championship challenge. So the winner in AM then, Martin Berry and Setuan Santosho. Silver AM going to the Goji Zen Nissan for the first time this year. Pro-Am to Lu Wei and Bastien Boost, and our winners in silver, James Yu Kwai and Kong Fu Cheng. Frankie Cheng. It was 0.7 a second in the end between the two, with Bastien Boost and Lu Wei finishing 1.6 back, despite having that success penalty of 15 seconds. Good result for Ben Green in the 99 that he shares with Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim, 4th position. The best of the AM there, just 2.5 seconds separating Alabama Motorsports from Garage 75 in 16th and 17th spot. And in the second half of the field, so many drivers with drive-through penalties for track limits. I imagine race control are going to be very, very busy. The podium then, on the inside of the circuit, very unusual here in Thailand. And first of all, our overall podium.
Goes to car number 45, Frankie Cheng, Kung Fu, James Yu Kwai! Congratulations!
Yu Kwai. And
now we gladly invite Sarun Hokiarti, CEO of KW Suspension Thailand, to award the trophies.
In second position. They still have a smile on their face despite having that win stolen from them, don't they? And it looks like we've got proper champagne on the podium as well. No expense spared here in Buriram. Soren Kirati presenting the trophies.
And now with all the trophies in hand, it is time for some photo
nice
sessions.
And efficient from
Please gather around.
Sarun, very good.
First to you, official cameraman, right in front of you. Okay. And after that, to the cameraman's right over there, in front of you. Smiles, everyone, smiles.
Emily getting the fans
okay,
and the drivers G'd up there on the podium.
I think now it is time for...
What an achievement. What a drive from the 45. It's kind of what we were expecting from the 45 guys all the way through this year. And they haven't quite delivered until now, but what an aggressive race at the end. The champagne eventually spraying. Andy Dung's disappeared, so he obviously want to keep that race suit fresh for tomorrow.
Congratulations once again. Thank you so much for all the hard work, gentlemen. Thank you.
And now we reset our podium and go through the various different races that we have had
now we will get prepared for
today.
The next ceremony. Please wait a few moments.
But before we do, here are the championship points overall after this last race. Bob Wan and Liu Yi continue to lead amazingly, despite retiring today. Anthony Liu and Dorian Boccolacci also scoring no points in the overall, but it does bring Chen Kongfu and Yu Kuai much closer to the top three in third, and Maxime Hussein and Ren Kun Fan in the silver am pairing to fourth. So it's really just closed up the field. Pro-am pairing of, wow, Marcus Winkelhock on the podium. They ended up in fifth position, the 46. So from no points all season to fifth.
And first place for the Pro-am class goes to car number 4, Lu Wei Bastien Moose.
And it's Prince Jeffrey and Ben Green in second position. Fourth position overall with Wei and Boos on the top step. It wasn't the birthday present that Prince Abu Bakr was hoping for in the 66. In the end, I'm afraid they were down in 18th spot with that drive-through penalty. I think we might have got away with not any more to be investigated and all the penalties being handed out before the race end. But great to have JMR back on the podium. Great to have Marcus Winkelhock back on the podium. A place where, of course, he took victory last year in the first race in an Audi. It's always been kind to him. But a new driver this year in Bao Yinglong. It's not their best result ever, but it is certainly their best result this year.
Gentlemen, I want some more smiles. Give me some smiles. Okay, I think we have some good shots. So now, put down your trophies. Hold your champagne, because it is time for champagne time! Congratulations!
Wei Lu taking a bit of time to get his bottle open. So getting soaked by others. I hope it's nice and cool. I do remember that being a bit of a shock when champagne is sprayed in a humid day like this. It's nice and refreshing when it's nice and cold. Pro-Am driver standings then, Bob Wan and Anthony Liu first and second, and Prince Jeffrey in third position now on his own, of course, because he shared that car with two separate drivers. Wei Lu in fourth position on his own because of a similar reason. And amazingly, Alexander Sims still sixth in that category, despite only racing one weekend. To silver then, and despite many a penalty for the 77, because the 16 retired on lap 1, third position going to Daniel Frost and Jai Tong Yang. Second to Andy Dung and Lo Kai Lo. And the winners of our race, also the winners in silver for a second bottle of champagne and a second trophy to take back to China.
Once again, we would gladly invite Sarun Hokyalti, CEO of KW Suspension Thailand, to award the trophies to our drivers. Sir, please join us on the stage.
we did quite a good job in Mandalika of making sure there wasn't too many track limit penalties, thanks to the implementation of those little sausage curbs on the inside of the curbs. Here, we don't have those, and it just means that it's so easy for these GT3 cars just to open the steering a little bit and run a little bit wide, full wheels off, and you know, they're not trying to do it. You know, they're not purposefully running off circuit. They are doing it because they're pushing to the limits, and that there are psychologically no punishments for it. But if you put a gravel trap or put a grass or put a barrier, like they will have in Beijing where there'll be a street circuit, there is no chance to run off circuit, and therefore they don't do it. But a simple rule of you're not allowed to do it doesn't necessarily stop you, because also when other cars are doing it around you, they're gaining an advantage from doing it. And it's just a very, very tough thing to police. And the best way to police it is for the tracks to be built in a way that you can't do it. But of course, that isn't conducive to MotoGP and bike racing, which is such a big part of both the makeup of the Buriram circuit, but also Mandalika as well. Silver standings then. And it is, of course, Chen Kongfu and Yu Kuai who lead that. Andy Dung now on his own in second position, and the Kraft Bamboo, number 77, in third.
And in second place is...
And so we move now on to the Silverram podium. And yeah, a bit of a different one here, because I don't know if we've seen the 25 on a podium this year. Once they were third in Malaysia in race 2, and once again Tsubasa Kondo and Kiyoshimi Uchiyama third again. Just the one car this weekend from Porsche Center. Okazaki, Max Hussein and Tony Yuan, the first time they have not been on the top step of a podium. A crumb of bonus to the 500, who have yet to be on a podium at all in Silverram. And so it is a good performance for Nissan. It's a great performance for Hirobon, rejoining that team.
With all trophies in hand, it is time for photo session.
And finally, top step of the podium in Silverram for Nissan.
Right on the top.
It's a competitive field though. It's not the same as Silver, where there's only 4 cars. There's 10 cars in Silverram, 9 cars in Silverram this weekend. And so it's a tough one to get on the podium.
So now Podium trophies, because it is time for the celebration champagne time! Congratulations!
Not bad though for the 89, considering that car was spun around on lap 1 and certainly will have had a little bit of damage. Second spot still in that Silverram standings will keep their championship campaign very much alive. And of course, a good qualifying from Max Hussein sets them up from another good result tomorrow as well. A reminder, race 2 tomorrow morning, much earlier than this race 1. So here are the standings after that first of our races here in Thailand. 118 points, play 68 points. So really no points again for Hang Wuhan and Akishnandi. They were one of those cars to get a late race drive-through penalty. And Uchiyama there, third position. Shared that car with different drivers, that's why he's on his own. But up in third in Silverram. Shows the domination though for BMW.
Second place goes to car number 75.
And so to Am then. What is Ben Porter doing with his bottle of champagne?
And the winner for amateur class first place goes to car number 8.
Oh, it's not Ben. Of course it's Andrew McPherson. Looks like he's primed a cannon there. Welcome Martin Berry to the podium for the first time in GT World Challenge Asia. Signed on for the season, but unfortunately then got a late race call up to go elsewhere during the Mandalika weekend, and so this is the first time he's had a chance to be on the top step of the podium, although I have to say he was on the third step of the podium in Malaysia race 1 and the second in race 2, so he's tasted the champagne, but not on the top step. Won't be helping the campaign of Ben Porter. The result of third spot, losing points to Garage 75.
Okay, with all trophies in hand, the last photo session time for today. Big smiles.
Andrew McPherson, a real character. And that is why we love having him with us ever since 2018. They've been omnipresent, Porter and McPherson.
Your fans are there. Give us a big smile. Okay, I think we're okay, so put your trophies down because it's the time for today's last champagne time!
What has McPherson's strategy of leaving the bottle on its side done to him? I don't know, really. It hasn't made it spray much better, has it? But I suppose by putting it on its side, you prevent it firing at your face, which is a danger. A nice bottle of Moët, and it does look cold as well, to take back to their garage. But thank their team, cool themselves down, enjoy an evening in Buriram Centre, and go racing again tomorrow. Make sure you join us. It's an early start, a 10:45 race start, so we'll be on air just before 10:30 local time in Buriram. So if you are in Europe, that is 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. As we thought, Garage 75 keep ahead of Ben Porter at the head of the AM standings. Setawan Santosho, though, closing in after another victory with a different teammate, Martin Berry, 5th in the championship, Andrew Bentley, 7th in the AM standings. So let's have a look at how that's affected our global point standings at the end of today. Mercedes with a 30-point advantage over BMW now, but Porsche always strong in Asia, closing in on BMW. But there's so much action around the world for you to enjoy from GT World Challenge. We'll go racing tomorrow once again at 10:45 local time. Before that, there's race 2 from Queensland Raceway of GT World Challenge Australia, and after that, during the European daytime, there is the 3 hours of Monza. But on GT World, of course, you've also got all the support races from Monza as well to enjoy, so you can fill your boots with GT World action. But thank you for joining us here at the Chang International Circuit for race 1. It was a cracker, wasn't it? And make sure you stick with us on GT World and across our platforms for all the news coming out of here and the rest of the action across the world. See you tomorrow.